Welcome to PropTech Pulse, the podcast that takes the pulse of prop technology in multifamily. I'm your host, Shelly Robinson, and each week we'll be diving deep into innovations, challenges, and the future of work in property technology and multifamily. From AI-driven property management to blockchain and real estate, we're here to explore how technology is reshaping the way we live, work, and invest in multifamily communities. Whether you're a property manager, a tech entrepreneur, an executive, or even simply curious about the future of living spaces, PropTech Pulse is your weekly dose of insights and inspiration. So let's sync our rhythms and get on with the show. It's time to take the pulse. Welcome to the podcast. Today I have Ryan and Mary from One Public Grid. Thank you for joining me today.
Thanks for having us. We're excited.
Thanks, Charlie.
So great to be with you both. Mary and I have known each other for more than a decade now. And Ryan, it's so good to meet you. I've been really enjoying getting to know you a little bit. To kick things off, why don't you share your story of kind of what's brought you to this point today with One Public Grid?
Definitely, yeah. How far back should I go?
Wherever you want.
Yeah, so I was kind of telling you in the beginning where I've been an entrepreneur my whole life, right? So just getting to this point with Public Grid, I like to think is the sum of all the parts of my journey from when I was a kid. So side hustling, random companies when I was a little kid, being kind of exposed to real estate space at a young age through my family, and them working in the construction management space. And then eventually in college, I like to say I kind of like fell into PropTech. So that was like almost like 15 years ago at this point. I was doing some other startups at the time, and the motivation for me, and a lot of the time when I start my companies usually is from a personal impact standpoint. I was actually doing a fast food delivery company at the time, completely unrelated to PropTech. So nothing like that. And my mom was actually in late stage cancer. So I was looking at what I was doing. I was like, I don't want to deliver fast food anymore. Like that's just not in line with my values, but I wanted to start delivering wellness to people. And we happened to be at that phase where the amenity boom was kind of starting in the multifamily space and the commercial space too. So we were both in commercial and multifamily landlords. When I say we fell into it, it's because we just got an opportunity to test in a building. It was 1 North 4th with Clinton Management actually in New York City. And we were testing a meditation class in there, and then eventually it evolved. And like we built, and I'm sure we'll talk about this a bit more, but we got a lot of co-design partners. So Stonehenge actually helped us completely build the program. And we built a fully amenitized company, bringing in fitness classes, wellness solutions, lifestyle event planning, and technology, wrapped it all up. And we built that for like 8-9 years with a lot of the top major multifamily commercial landlords, like 500 buildings at our peak. Yeah. And then we sold it to Alfred and became more of an internal tool for Alfred to help build their communities out. And the journey from there, then I kind of took a couple of years to consult, advise. I always am kind of sitting in front of the pictures of my kids, as you can see. Mary knows I talk about my family probably way too much. I'm one of those annoying parents. But that was kind of the motivation for Public Grid. Then I had my first kid and I was like, what do I care about now? Because I like to build from places of care. And for me, it was really just what's happening with our climate, with the world heating up, and me wanting to figure out a way to do something about it and help decarbonize our buildings. So that's kind of the driver, as Mary always likes to say, cleaning up the grid with Public Grid.
Yeah. What I love purpose-driven entrepreneurship, because you're solving real problems, and you're actually, when you lead with purpose, there's just so easy to put the passion behind it. So what a great story. And I love hearing about families too. It's my why.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. So let me ask you now that we've got your purpose story and your founder story and your passion, what do you think are, kind of the top 3 drivers of how things are going to change especially in your arena, in PropTech and multifamily in the next 3 to 5 years, and why?
Yeah. And I think for me, the lens I always kind of view things through present day right now is very much energy and sustainability. So I'll probably answer the question more related to the energy and sustainability side. And I think if I'm going to boil that down to 3 drivers, and Mary, definitely feel free to hop in here and add to anything that I have. I think resident experience is one of the big things coming today. So a few of the areas we've already tackled up front. So we have already looking at the energy footprints of buildings was really like the first thing that we started to get into. If you look at the multifamily space specifically, they've really only been able to get, call it break out the common space data. So your amenity spaces, your mechanical rooms, your common rooms, they kind of have to put the picture together to get all that in-unit data. And they just get to like a general number. And you can't even get that across every single market across the country. So I think coming from that holistic view into more of the individual view is number one. And like Public Grid, what we're building is that individual view. How do you actually get in the unit? How do you get residents to take action? How do you view that data? And then I think that's going to lead into the resident experience. So I think we've been tackling resident experience in multifamily for a long time. My last business was entirely about resident experience. I saw every amenity under the sun pop up, from like dog walking to dog sitting on site to being able to build your multifamily room into a hotel room, to literally every single amenity under the sun in any building that you can think of. And I think that's really coming into the ESG space now. So coming to that individualized, there was a stat released recently that 65% of residents care about sustainability. If you look at it, it's a lot of Gen Zers and millennials, and there's a lot of care for sustainability. So being able to cater to that audience and making it more about that resident experience and getting ahead of things. I mean, at the most basic level, right? Like you've got to have an AC now, right? Like that is that's the most basic functional level, but there's a large energy use, and like people know that. So how do you then communicate to your residents, hey, we're actually going to make this more energy efficient for you, better for you, or helping you get clean energy? That's kind of what I would break it down to, is whole view to individualized view to resident experience, and then probably just like creating action around that, like going from data to action.
And I'll add to that just a little enlightenment, like what is driving these trends is, Ryan alluded to it a little bit. We talked about regulation and ESG. So there are multiple markets in the country today where building performance standards are pressing owners and operators to hit specific targets by capturing there's 50 markets in the US where you can actually get aggregated whole building data today. It's a blend of the common space and the residential consumption, but people are kind of breaking that out through the power of math. And they're finding that 60 to 70% of the total consumption of your building is occurring within the units. So the big driver, what is motivating and where PropTech is going with this and where Public Grid is solutioning for this, being able to get that big tube of data to something that is actionable within the unit, which in effect helps you comply with the regulation. And these fines are onerous. They can be $3.50 per square foot, which can get really big really quick. So it's millions of dollars in fines, but you have to get down to that granular level to actually affect change.
Yep. And Mayor's been working on this in like the most stringent environment across the country in California for such a long time. So the knowledge base there on how to...
How do you tie, and I think this is where my mind goes, is from creating that great resident experience that doesn't feel punitive. You want it to feel like you're doing learn how you can have an impact, still be comfortable and have a great resident experience in that environment. And then landlords don't have full control over what residents do. So it is a big challenge to solve for.
And I think it's important, and we talked about this a lot when we were at the Prometheus together, Shelley. We have to translate things into the love language of our customers. And so a big part of the engagement isn't the stick, isn't, we're going to get fines, because that's not going to affect how somebody lives. Yeah. Exactly. So it's like, well, why do I care? What's in it for me? And so understanding as an occupant, what I can do, because I care about sustainability. So what I can do there, plus what I can do to stabilize my cost of living, because that's really big. Consistently, energy costs on average increase by 9.8% annually. So you're looking at a 50% lift in the last 5 years with some cheap math there. So they care about how they control and stabilize their cost. They care about the environment. And so it's just sort of packaging all of that together to really create an experience that resonates for the residents.
Love it. Love it. Do you think this is affecting how people work in multifamily right now too? Like if, I think about, I was a property manager a long time ago, but, and I was sending fax packets back. That's how long ago that was. But do you think that's going to change how property managers work too in the next 3 to 5 years when it comes to sustainability and resident experience?
I do. Absolutely. Because I mean, for a couple of reasons. So first of all, we've talked about residents care about sustainability. Whether or not they'll pay for it more is still sort of up and being debated. But we unanimously agree they care. The same with our site teams. The teams themselves really want to run an efficient property. Where I think this is going to shift is it's actually going to become part of the leasing conversation. We're going to be less subtle about it going forward, and we're going to highlight and promote what your experience will be like living at my community with respect to your relationship with sustainability. So we're going to point out those enhancements. It's going beyond just having an energy efficient logo on your dishwasher to actual, here's how you can interact with your home to reduce your environmental footprint and your cost.
And I like to think a lot of those like enhancements when you're implementing some of the newer technology. When you talk about energy efficiency upgrades in units, you are usually talking about implementing a lot of the newer technology into the units and automating through that and giving residents more control over their living experience. I like to say that creates less issues for the maintenance staff and for the on-site team when people are having that experience of being able to actually use some of the newer technology within the units directly. So I think that'll also affect the day-to-day. And like one other thing I also wanted to pinpoint when Mary was talking about the sustainability and the resident experience before, I think a lot of it also just comes down to cost savings, right? So like having a more positive experience in your building, sometimes it's about the convenience and the day to day, but it's also about like how much you're spending on your cost of living in that building. And if a building can say like you're going to be moving in here and save 20% on your energy costs, that's a huge thing for a resident.
It's a huge thing. And I would think from a marketing, resident experience, attraction standpoint too, that becomes an advantage in markets, especially with, like you were saying, Gen Z and millennials who are looking for those particular things. People sometimes will even pay more rent for it to get the savings, which is, it equates back to what do I get out of this, and what's important to me? What are my values? This kind of leads me into another question. I hear now sometimes that people are like, oh, AI is going to take our jobs. I tend to feel like you've got automation, you've got smart homes, you've got all of these different things coming forward. I think the jobs are just going to change. Not necessarily you won't need people. What are your thoughts on that from both of your perspectives?
I think there's a mixture. So I think the reality is I don't think it's going to take jobs. I think it could create some reductions in need for jobs. I mean, like I was talking about maintenance staff before, you're not going to you still need a maintenance person, right? Like the maintenance person needs to come you still need the same size of a maintenance team to come into the building, deal with the residents, fix things in the unit, but they're going to have the proper tools in front of them on a day-to-day basis to be able to get the incoming requests from residents, let them know when it's finished, have technology right in front of them that tells them how to do something they might not have known how to do before. Maybe something is easier to fix than it was before. I know like HappyCo is a good example of that. Like they've created a completely new AI engine within their platform, and they've done a really good job of implementing that, right? So I'm going into the maintenance side of things. We're definitely seeing it come across everything within the property management spectrum, though. I mean, you see it coming across leasing, making the leasing function a little easier. I will say, in being early in that AI leasing trend, like it does lead to some reductions, right? Like I'm not saying you're getting rid of staff, but you might need, when you're leasing up a building, maybe you're like, hey, we can hire one less leasing person as a result of having this technology. And then it makes everyone else's job on site a lot easier. And they don't have to do a lot of the follow-up, and a lot of questions are answered for them. And they're able to do the things they like on a day-to-day basis more. So I think that's what we're going to see more than, I wouldn't call it replacement. I'd say augmenting or reducing future efforts.
Creating efficiencies and less time waste through AI troubleshooting or different things that occur, virtual leasing. But I'm speaking my language there too.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. I also think it's going to be a shift of location for our teams. So you're going to see some more centralization for the leasing. Maybe the leasing packet process is going to move offsite to some place that's centralized, but you're still going to need that on-site experience, because as what continues to be significant is our ability to have relationships with our residents and the sense of community within our communities. And that I just don't see AI being able to take over that. So we're going to need that.
Love it. So can you both share a case study of maybe a customer that you've worked with and kind of the results of the rollout and the impact with One Public Grid?
Definitely, yeah. So there's two angles we go through with Public Grid. There's the direct to PMC and owner angle that we'll go. So we'll go directly to a property management company, help make their move-in process smoother, help with getting residents signed up quicker with electricity. And then there's also the channel partner route. So integrating into platforms that create a utility verification feature that we'll call, and I'll get into deeper detail of what that means. So they have their own internal utility verification feature. So we're embedded in platforms like Moved, then Elevated Living, Funnel. We're launching a new feature, which we'll announce at the end, with a platform called Renew. During the renewal process, you can go and get better rates on your energy. But I think the move-in process is probably the best place to start. So I'm going to highlight our first partner. So Moved was our first partner. We embed directly into the Moved experience. We're launched across like 150,000 or more with Moved right now, and we're their built-in utility verification feature. So previously to us, residents had to go to the app and there'd be a phone number and they would say, hey, call Con Ed to get your electricity set up. Go to their website, call FPL to get your electricity set up, go to their website. And we've seen significant reductions in time by embedding into their platform because our platform just runs you through the process in 3 minutes or less. You're entering in your first name, last name, email address, and any key information utilities usually would expect from you. So a lot of them will want your social security number or your driver's license. It's the same information as utilities. We're taking that, we're passing it through directly to the utilities in a automated process. And then also there's human in the loop too. So there's some human involved depending on utilities. Utilities are very antiquated. You can't completely automate the entire process. So we've seen significant time reductions of people sometimes spending weeks to get their utilities set up to working with us to getting it set up in a matter of days. And that's probably been one of the biggest advantage for the Move teams, I will say. And then being able to reduce the burden on the building site teams. So site teams normally were the ones that had to deal with verifying whether the residents' utilities were set up. So they'd go through the Move platform, they'd reach out to the property manager, they'd say, hey, I'm having trouble setting up my utility account. Can you please help me? And Mary loves to tell stories about her days in Prometheus. She'd be on the phone for hours with a resident trying to set them up. The site team doesn't need to do that anymore. So Moved in collaboration with us, with Public Grid, we're getting questions all the time from the properties and saying, hey, my resident came to me to help him set up, but can you please help him? They forward it right to us. We help him. Site team doesn't have that on their plate anymore. What normally is hours of work a week now is all placed onto Public Grid to be able to do that. So I think that's a really good channel partner example. I think Mary would be able to give she does direct work with a lot of our PMCs. So she's working with.
Yeah. My favorite example is, it's not just we're involved in the move-in process. We're there throughout the relationship for that resident. And so what takes a time commitment from the site teams takes it off of their plates and puts it onto Public Grid is when the resident gets their bill and it's suddenly exponentially higher than the month before. And they historically, and people can tell me I'm wrong, but historically they've trotted into the leasing office and said, what did you do to me?
Yep.
And so historically, that requirement has fallen on our site teams to assist the resident with just something which is really out of their scope, something that they don't normally do. And frankly, we want them focusing on great customer experience and new move-ins and renewals. And so it's kind of taking away from that when you've got the angry experience happening right there. So Public Grid sort of takes over for that and will contact the utility provider, make sure it's actual reads, things that people don't intuitively think about. The Public Grid team, that's where they live. That's what they do. And so they're looking to solve those puzzles for and with the resident. And so I think it takes a tremendous process off of the site teams, which I would argue, and Shelley, correct me if I'm wrong, no one on the site team enjoys.
It's also not your area of expertise, right? You want to free up high value service time so that your site teams can focus on the property service and their areas of expertise. And utilities are notoriously confusing. You and I, Mary, spent many hours in your office when I was at Prometheus just trying to clear things up. So it's relatable, and I'm so glad y'all are solving for that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Quirky question maybe, but one that seems to be on everybody's mind. Is there an AI tool that either of you are using right now that you love, and why?
Ryan, you want to jump into this? Because you're like the king of AI.
Yeah, I have a whole suite of tools that I'm using. I'm trying to think which direction to go with this.
Where to start? Where to start?
Yeah.
Everybody's mind, and some people haven't even started using AI yet, which to me, I'm always incredulous if you haven't started, but I use it every day.
Oh, yeah, I'm on it all the time. I might talk a bit about the suite I use. Some of it is also for like sales and outreach. So I'm like hesitating on how much I share about those tools of how I'm contacting customers. Yeah. I mean, I try to work and we're like trying to integrate and link all of our systems together right now. So most obvious one, just use of ChatGPT, right? Like I am on ChatGPT all the time beyond just email crafting, but in our day-to-day operations and creating custom GPTs to be automate, creating our proposals for customers, our brochures for customers, templatizing contracts, being able to, I can type into GPT, do some deep research for me on this customer before I enter. And then like, I'm just working for 20, 30 minutes while it's doing the deep research for me in the background, or have a bunch of agents going and creating a spreadsheet for me for a customer. So it is the most obvious one, but the functionality is so deep. I'm even writing my own code through there, and I have no engineering background whatsoever to be able to create formulas within spreadsheets. And then outside of that, we use a recording tool in our company called Amy AI, and we all love Amy. She is our new best friend. He's recording every single meeting, getting the transcripts, creating to-do lists from it, putting that directly into our to-do list software. It even integrates with Notion and a bunch of other softwares we're using. And then we've got a whole suite, and I can go deep. We've got a suite of AI tools that do all our LinkedIn creation, our LinkedIn outbound outreach. So I'm messaging clients through that, email campaigning and outbounds, all through different AI tools and grabbing contacts where we can send them out to. So you definitely asked the right person, because I have like 7 different tools that I'm using. And I would say I'm probably on the light side of AI use in my company, probably. Everyone else probably uses more than I do.
That's amazing. I've started using like Claude for research, and I find that is now I don't do anything on Google anymore. It's taken the place of anything that I'm researching on, and it's very robust. So big advocate on learning how to chat prompt. How about you, Mary? Anything you want to add?
So I still do some things relatively old school, but I'm a big fan because my documents were always ugly. So I'm a big fan of taking whatever I have drafted and plugging it into, I use Gemini. So I'll drop it into Gemini and with the request of, can you make this pretty? Because I'm a whopper of information. So I definitely appreciate that streamlining and making what I'm producing more digestible for my reader. So that's my favorite component of AI, but we use it heavily within the organization.
I started using Typeset, which is an AI design platform, and I love it. I use it for my music, I use it for my work, and it's got built-in Getty Images library, it's got built-in Unsplash library, it does charts, graphs, and all kinds of things. So I'm impressed and so thankful as a new entrepreneur that I have something that's they're built-in people, really.
Yeah, Canva AI, same way. You can generate entire video clips and images in Canva AI, and they're incredible, the
I
generation.
haven't tried that one yet.
I use Canva too.
Favorite, and I forgot to share this one, but my favorite use probably of ChatGPT is my son is obsessed with superheroes, so I have built him into his own superhero using prompts in GPT, combining all his favorite superheroes into one human.
I love that. That is awesome. Oh, that's a great one.
I'll share it to you after.
That is great.
Yeah.
Okay, before we wrap up, I think you all have some exciting announcements that you wanted to share. Do you want to dive into kind of what's coming for Public Grid?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. We have some exciting feature launches. So I think one thing that we're trying to do, we are on the expedition to get as much in-unit energy usage data as fast as possible. And if you look at our current product, we're capturing that at move-in. So if we get a user at move-in, and one thing we didn't I mentioned in our case studies, which we're really proud of, is we're hitting like anywhere between 50 to 80% conversion. So if 10 people move in, we're getting 5 to 8 of those to come through our funnel. What we want to do is we want to get 100% of a building as fast as possible. So we've actually launched, I mentioned 2 new features, but it's actually really 3 new features we've launched recently. One is full verification. So we can concierge set you up to move in and we'll set up your electricity for you. If we don't set it up for you, you can still upload your account number to our system. We'll grab that. We'll pass that to the property management company so they know every single resident in their building is set up. That's called utility verification. So we're at 100% collection when people move in. You're still going to get a lagger here or there that doesn't enter their info in and just never has it on file with the property management company. So call it 9 out of 10 people coming. We want to expand across the full resident life cycle. So we're looking at all sorts of the channel partners we talked about before are mostly resident apps, but we are now launching into renewal platforms, into rent payment platforms, into ID fraud platforms. The new product we launched for that is called a bill upload feature. So an existing resident or a resident that's renewing their lease can upload a copy of their utility bill into our system. It's called OCR. It's basically AI that scans the bill, can pull the account numbers out and all the major info that you need out of that to be able to grab the in-unit energy usage data from the utility company. And then we also can go shop for better supply rates. So the hook for the resident is, hey, you upload your bill here. Not only does your management company need your account number on file for your renewal cycle, we're going to help you find a better rate on your energy in markets where that applies. So we'll get you better pricing and we'll get you signed up for green energy community solar. So those are exciting feature launches. And then we got a couple events coming up. So we got 2 private events we're planning, one in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. So the DMV area in partnership with Connexus, Gatewise, and a few other partners. We're going to be hosting a really cool panel on the budgeting process in the DMV area. And we're going to have a really fun mixology party. That mixology was all Mary's idea. So that's going to be fun. We'll be sending an invite out shortly. And we're going to be doing a similar thing during Climate Week in New York City as well, running a similar event.
Awesome. A lot of really exciting things coming. I'm really looking forward to continuing to watch your trajectory. I think you're really solving for some critical needs in multifamily and love the passion and the purpose behind it. So thank you both for joining me today. This has been a great conversation and we'll have to have you back in a year and talk about some updates and progress.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Shelley, for having us. This was really fun.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And that wraps up another episode of PropTech Pulse. I hope this conversation has given you valuable insights and perhaps even sparked some ideas for your own PropTech journey. Remember, the future of multifamily is being written right now with every technological advance and innovative solution. So stay curious, stay connected, and keep your finger on the pulse of PropTech. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to PropTech Pulse on your favorite podcast platform and share this along with your colleagues. You can also find us on social media for bite-sized insights and updates. I'm Shelley Robinson, and until next time, let's keep innovating, disrupting, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible in PropTech and multifamily. Let's build it together.